You may have seen some Modern Horizons 3 spoilers earlier this week. Kindred Enchantments, Echoes of Eternity, and Tarmogoyf Nest were spoiled, as well as a slew of other cards, Eldrazi, some Planeswalkers, a bunch of other stuff that was spoiled for Modern Horizons 3. And people are talking about the power level of the set, like what's good, what's not, are these real, are they not? I'm more interested in the tribal, typal, kindred debate, which I didn't get a chance to weigh in on last year. And Mark Rosewater commented on it last summer, saying that a lot of talk about typal recently, so I thought I'd say a few things. We use tribal internally to mean cares about creature type as opposed to discussing the card type. Multiple consultants recommended we stop using the language, so we decided to change it. We picked a word that was similar, same number of syllables, so we can swap it in the same places we were using tribal. Typal, while an uncommon word, is an actual word meaning related to type. We originally used it as a placeholder, but grew to like it. Again, I should stress, it's an internal vocabulary word. It's not officially used anywhere on the cards. The only place you'll see it is in my column, blog, social media, where it uses the internal design slang. So, tribal and tribal. There's a capital tribal and a lowercase tribal, which I think he mentions here. So tribal, the card type, is now kindred. Tribal, the adjective cares about card type, is now typal, at least internally R&D. And so tribal will no longer appear on new cards. Kindred is the new type, as you can see from Echoes of Eternity and from Tarmogoyf Nest. The interesting thing to me is that, like, why was Wizards changing this? Well, like, partially they had the lowercase tribal and the uppercase tribal, and so internally it was causing some confusion amongst themselves, and they thought, hey, let's get a new word in here that's not tribal, and so they did that. They got typal, and now kindred, and kindred is like the flavor word that's being used on the cards themselves. So if you want to be Wizards politically correct, you should say, I have a typal deck that's, typal goblins or typal dragons or whatever. And if you have a card type like Echoes of Eternity or Tarmogoyf Nest, you'd have a kindred card type. Not to be confused with the kindred cycle, which don't have the kindred card type, but still use kindred. It's kind of funny. So the thing with tribal and kindred is they are actually loose synonyms of each other. So it does work, and they're the same number of syllables. I think it's kind of silly, personally. I think tribal is I've never personally in real life heard it being used offensively or referred to offensively. I've never seen it online used offensively. I've seen it in Survivor. They have tribal council. That seemed kind of fine. To me, tribal is just like, oh, it's the group, it's your family, it's it's the the Fast and the Furious. We got family. That's kind of how I thought of it. But I looked it up a little bit, and there's the Webster definition. You have other various definitions here. Fine. So you have there's a website here I found. I just Googled why is tribal offensive, and this brought it up. And so apparently for indigenous people, at least in America, tribal identity is important. So when non-native people say, find your tribe, it could be offensive because it erases the significance of tribal sovereignty, identity, and people. So that at least is an explanation to me. Okay, so if you're talking to a native person and you use tribal in that context, okay, fine, that could be offensive. Fair enough. I understand that Wizards doesn't want to offend anybody. There's a lot of stuff. And, it could be connotated with savagery, which there's a lot of savagery in Magic, too. And there's a lot of problematic things in Magic still to this day. There's violence, there's demons, there's, resurrection, all types of stuff. There's blood, there's skeletons, there's zombies. Tribal, to me, seems a little bit silly. That being said, I will say kindred. I'm probably gonna do what Wizards doesn't want and just say kindred for everything. Or just say like soldier type deck or something. I don't want to use the word typal. Typal seems a little silly to me. There's a whole explanation on mtg.fandom.com about Kindred. They go through over what I went over a while ago. And this is a great website, by the way. You can look up like keywords and stuff. I use this site for finding evergreen keywords and new keywords to help create custom cards, which eventually I'll make some custom card videos. I've created a bunch of them for my cube. But yeah, mtg.fandom.com is a pretty good resource. So they describe that there. As you can see here, we have the older tribal cards, Bitter Blossom, All's Dust, Eldrazi Conscription, so on and so forth. These will now be errated Oracle text to Kindred, Instant Shapeshifter, Kindred sorcery, elf, etc., etc. So yeah, I find it interesting. Altar of the Goyf was the most recent tribal card from 2021, and this is the last one that they'll print with the tribal printed on the card. And as you can see, even the newest card name with the word tribal in it is from like 20 years ago. So Wizards even 20 years ago, Wizards had stopped using the word tribal in card names, which I find interesting. Let's type in just savage, so savagery. So they use a lot more savage, over tribal, which I guess savage could apply to like anything. It's kind of a little more generic, perhaps. It's not like directly relating to a certain people, I guess. These are a little bit newer, although they still don't do as much with the word savage. I find that interesting. Oh, Savage Order, that's Jurassic Park. So they use it sparingly. Tribal, I guess they're just not going to use that. Kindred is the new tribal. Kindred's the new thing. What do you guys think in the comments? I think that it's going to take some time for people to stop using tribal, if ever. I think there's going to be a lot of like the older players. We'll just keep saying tribal. Honestly, the way I see it is this. Like if one person at my table is offended with the word tribal, I'm not going to say the word tribal. I'm not going to offend people, on purpose, okay? But if nobody cares, if you're just with your friends, you can say whatever you want. I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't think this is the thing that we should be worrying about, to be honest. That being said, I'm not going to die on this hill. I'll use Kindred. I'll try to do it, I just ask that people just try to be civil in the comments. Try not to like insult anybody or that type of thing. So, yeah, people on Reddit were complaining about it and saying that Wizards, they used their consulting group. And the funny thing is, like, when you look for a problem, you're going to find a problem, right? So the consulting group found a problem. It is technically, in some cases, a problem, as you can see from this website here, where you could offend people, by diminishing their culture if you say tribal. So in some contexts, yeah, corner case, yes, it could be offensive, but in the vast majority of cases, people use it in the survivor sense, at least from my perspective. They're like, we're the tribe. This is our sports tribe. This is our school tribe. This is our whatever. And, is that appropriation? Is that erasure? I personally don't see it that way, but if somebody does, just don't like purposely offend somebody. So, we're going to say Kindred from now on. Kindred is the new tribal. Get used to it.